everyone, welcome back. I'm Lauren, the Inside Out art teacher. I help art teachers and students shine from the inside out. This week, I'm going to focus a lot on the first week of school. During the first week of school for teachers and students, there's just so much to think about, so much going on. And really, where should we be putting our attention? So during the first few days of school, we really want to make an impression on our students. We want them to trust us. We want them to feel as though they can succeed in our class. We want them to feel like we have some structure and control, but also feel as though we value them, we understand them, we care about them. So how do you create that atmosphere of positivity and compassion, but also establish structure?
So let's talk about the first week of school, the very first days. There's so much going on. We're worried about class rules, policies, procedures, seating charts, you name it. It's something we have to take care of. But there's one area that I think our focus really, really should be. Somebody shared a quote with me a long time ago, one of my first years teaching.
So the quote was, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care." So that quote was by Theodore Roosevelt, and it really struck me, and it made total sense. And when I reflected on my own experiences as a student, it was always the teachers that just showed you that you were important that really got me to listen and really made an impression.
But how do we do that on the first few days of school?
So one thing you can do that sounds super simple but hard at the same time is remember your student's name from the very first time you meet them. Now, most of us have 100, 150 students, and that sounds kind of crazy. How am I going to remember every single student's name from the first time I meet them? You won't be able to do all of them necessarily, but you absolutely positively can get every single one within the first week. So today I'm going to share some tips. The first tip that I have for you is really just remember that you're committing to it and remember to be conscious of it. It sounds pretty simple, right? I think during the first few days of school, we have so much going on. Our minds are everywhere. As kids are walking in, we're thinking about what they think about us. And sometimes it's hard to kind of really focus on each one of them. We're highly outnumbered. But if we can just remember that this is something we're committed to and then use the strategies that I'm going to tell you about, that's half the battle. So remembering to remember, just being conscious that that is where your focus is during the first few days. My number one a tip that I actually got from a book I read recently by Jim Kwik called Limitless. I highly recommend it. Jim Kwik is a learning coach, and he teaches people how to remember things. He works with lots of celebrities, like helping them remember lines from movies and stuff. But he had a lot of great techniques. I'll list that book in the description if you want to refer to it. But this is one that I got from that book, and it's fun. I really enjoy it, and it works. What it is during the first day of school, as students come in and you're calling attendance, just first of all, just take your time. And as you go through the list, you're going to look at each student and you want to make some sort of an association. So think of something that their name rhymes with. So for example, I have a student named Aiden. So Aiden rhymes with Braden. So I picture Aiden wearing a braid in his hair. So all my Aidens, I visualize wearing the braid. So the next time I see Aiden's face, I immediately remember him with the braid, and I remember the name Aiden. So usually, especially art teachers, I feel like we're very visual to begin with. That visualization pops right in my head, and then the name comes to me. So that's just a kind of a fun trick. Michaels, I always picture Michaels on motorcycles. So you want to kind of think of some visual association, maybe something that rhymes with the name or the first thing you imagine when you hear that name, and visualize that in your head. And that visualization will almost always come to you. I found though, with this technique, the hardest part for me is sometimes I can't come up with a visualization quick enough. So that brings me to the next one. On the second day of school, as students are walking in the room. So you already did your visualizations and you tried to connect something visual with each student. On the second day, as they're walking in the room, just make sure you either scan your list before they walk in, but as they walk in, try to remember each kid's name before they get to their seat. If you get stuck, quickly look it up and look at your roster. And then that's where you try to make that association right there. So you're not like in the middle of calling attendance and staring at them awkwardly. So that's your kind of second tip technique to help remember names. Then the next one is after they've come in your room on that second day and you're calling attendance, as you're going through your list, and take your time again, look at the name and then try to find a student on your own and then call the name. And hopefully by then I usually have about half or more of the class already remembered from the first day. Make eye contact with that person as you're calling their name. You might get a few wrong, but that's okay. Usually you can kind of just direct your gaze, and students don't expect you to remember their names on the second day of school anyway, so it's really not a big deal. But those ones that you do remember and you make eye contact first and they realize you remembered their name, it makes a huge impact on them. They're so used to people not remembering their names the first time they meet. So then the last one, which is great for us art teachers, try to do a project or an icebreaker that incorporates their name or some sort of lettering with their name into the design, and then connect that image also with the person. So try to visualize each kid, like as you're walking by, kind of look at their artwork, their lettering, and just try to make that connection. I mean, it really, really works, and it really makes a big difference. They're coming to you usually very nervous. It's the first day of school. It's a whole new routine for them. They're worried about what their friends think. They're worried about what you think. They're scared that they're gonna not do well in art. So if you can calm their nerves simply by remembering their names and can do it, it's made a huge help in my classes, and it's not as hard as you think it is if you just remember to remember and give it a try. I mean, what have you got to lose, right?